Hello, I'm Llewellyn King, the host of White House Chronicle, which is coming right up. But first, a few thoughts of my own. Cuba is in the news. I'm very lucky. I've been to Cuba a couple of times. I've been interested in it for many years. And suddenly I realize that the Cuban argument we've been having has changed. It's not an argument centered in Miami. It's an argument in Washington. How do we normalize relations if the Cubans will behave themselves and institute reforms? How do we normalize relations when we don't know what will happen the day after the normalness sets in? There are tens of thousands of boats in Florida that can make it to Cuba. There are tens of thousands of people waiting in Cuba to get into those boats and come to the U.S. If we have a problem on the southern border, it'll be nothing like the problem we will have on the Florida coast. The reason is that the Cubans have been listening to our radio stations. They have relatives in this country, and they have an enormous desire to see the big house, to come to America, as I once wanted to see the big house and came to America. It's very sad because the expectation is enormous. The first days of a normal relationship will be chaotic. Boats will crowd the ports that cannot be refueled or accommodated, and aircraft, lots of private aircraft in Florida and elsewhere, will fly to Havana where the airport cannot accommodate them. You know, there's a great historian, Niall Ferguson, who always says that the problem with empire is not empire during its existence, but afterwards. The collapse of empire is more chaotic than the creation of empire or the duration of empire. It's going to be a little bit like that. It's not an empire situation. It's going to be a little bit like that with Cuba. After 47 years of no contact really, or very minimal contact, suddenly it's all going to be wide open. Cuba will be overwhelmed with Americans. Florida and other parts of the U.S. may be overwhelmed with Cubans. There will be other casualties. The Bahamas will be a casualty. Cuba's a great place, very lively, musical, gorgeous people, and interesting. More visitors will want to go to Cuba than will want to go to the Bahamas. The cruise ships, which now stop in the Bahamas, will stop in Cuba, and the Bahamas will wither, so we'll have another people problem. Solving things, reform, isn't quite as easy as it seems. I would love to see normal relations with Cuba, but I hope we do it very wisely and carefully. I think being a Cuban, though, must have been terrible all of these years, with your face up against the window pane of America without being able to get in and enjoy the good things happening inside. I have a great show for you today, and we'll be right back after these titles.
White House Chronicle is produced in collaboration with WHUT, Howard University Television.